he didn't like coming out of the city too much. Okay, O&R, you can see all of them up the top there. Consolidated Edison, New York, NYSEG, Niagara Mohawk, which is now National Grid, and Rochester, yeah, also. LIPA and NYPA cannot belong to this thing unless the state legislature authorizes them because they have authority. And they have not been able to get that done yet. So they haven't been able, that's one reason they couldn't form the NYPA originally. So now they just call themselves the New York Transmission Owners, which they are the owners, so that's legitimate, but they're not an organization, which the rules say they're supposed to be an organization to make this proposal, but they ignore all that because they're utility, you know. So this one, Princeton's a new substation, and Edic is up near Utica, and this as a Knickerbocker I told you about before. So this is one of the. They're also actually they were the ones that first figured that out. That was because National Grid tried to do it the other way, and the cost benefit didn't come out positive when they did it with New York ISO. They said, oh, we've got to pull those electrons from someplace else. They invented this Knickerbocker, which is not a bad idea, but they got to fix the system when they do that, which they haven't figured out yet. So anyway, so they were the first ones to invent the Knickerbocker idea. It's been looked at for quite a while. Princeton's also new, and I'm not sure whether they invented Princeton or LS Power might have come up with Princeton. It's a new station also. We don't build any new stations, of course, so we do expand the East Fishkill. Okay, Edic in New Scotland, this is not too bad an idea, but it doesn't really help the system that much. Knickerbocker in Pleasant Valley, that's the one straight down. We looked at that before. This is rebuilding one of the small substations. I don't know what this has to do with anything. And this one right here, Oakdale, that's out in Binghamton, over to Fraser. You'd think it would have to east-west, but we modeled it, it doesn't do anything. The reason it's there is because it's the only project that these guys, in order to get them to join the group, they had to give them something. So they put this thing in there. It doesn't do a damn thing for the north-south. It doesn't belong there, but there it is. So anyway, this is all their projects. All right, next year is a little smarter, and they've got a couple here. Marcy, that's not, you know, this is right down the middle, but it really would fix the problem, but it really will require a lot of right-of-way, and they really will have to put new power into the wire. And then New Scotland, Leeds, Pleasant Valley, that's the main line, everybody doing it. And they filed for Oakdale Fraser too. I have not a clue why, but oh, that's Next Era. I'm sorry, I've told you this part. Yeah, Next Era is they filed for everything. They've got 6 more combinations. Next Era resource partners include International Speedway Corporation, Daytona International Speedway. I thought that was pretty interesting. They're quite an interesting bunch. They're really Florida Power and Light, as I said. We have. I used to live in. I flew for the Navy for a while in Pensacola, and I lived in Tallahassee when I was a kid. So I know Florida Power. All these are long, so they're all over 50 miles, and they had to pay the higher fee to do them. But they filed for all 3. I think NET's the smartest one of the bunch, because they started off as a real engineer-driven company, but again, they're run by financial people now. And they've got this serious compensation for Fraser. That does sort of make sense. And then they're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. Okay. So those are the projects that they. I think LS Power's got another one they filed for too. We try to keep up with it. This is the kind of poles that we will use. This is already existing. In fact, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to change these 2 wires out here and put 2 new ones out there. And let's see. Oh, I guess we're going to change all 3. But this is the 345 line. So we will put new wires in all these. But it'll end up being the carbon fiber. This is the aluminum conductor composite core. That composite is a graphite. Yeah.
Is that the same tower that you can see on the thruway?
It is.
Yeah.
For a little ways, it goes longer, yes. Not the whole.
No, but I mean, that's
kind of, yeah. Well, you just throw something together interesting. That one. Okay.
Do you know how tall those are?
How tall are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are, I think these are like 80 feet. These are not as high as they would be now. And if you,
Because
if you put,
National Grid is now saying they're going to stay in the right of way, but put those up instead.
well, that would be lower. I think the highest 120. John knows this better than I do. He's dealt with all his life, and I should check on that. Hurley Avenue down by Kingston again, and this is the H-frame. There's something else I wanted to point out here. Now, 25 foot. Yeah, again, the loss is much less because, well, next file. Here you go, right here. Your electrons don't like to get close to the center. They're all negatively charged. They're right on the outer edge. So they travel mostly in the outer edge of each little composite line. And this, for the ACSR, this is a traditional utility cable. It's very strong because it has a steel core in the middle. But it still doesn't do much for the conduction, and because there's all these gaps in here, it doesn't carry as much as this one does. So now they really thumped this out and engineered it a little better. And when you put the strength in here is very, very strong for the weight. This is really the carbon fiber, it's strictly carbon fiber. And this is
Is it also conductive?
it does not conduct, it's just the strength, yeah. It could be, actually, but the electrons wouldn't want to be there anyway. They'd get on the outside of the strand. And you can see when you do this, it's more compact and you get more surface area on the outside. So this is a new design, and these guys probably very highly likely, one of these two will become one of our subcontractors. And they will actually do that part of the job. And they will also guarantee their work, because either one or the other will have to do all that wire replacement. Wire replacement is pretty simple. The only thing you have to worry about, and I'm a construction guy, of course you got to get into the right of way, and you got to make sure the towers are up to snuff. If you have to reinforce on the towers, you have to fix on the towers. We've got something in the budget to do that. But the main thing is that you don't do it in the middle of summertime or in the dead of winter, because obviously in the wintertime in construction you don't want to do it anyway. But in the summertime, you might think it's good. That's when everybody's using the air conditioning. That's when the power is really at its peak. So you want to do it in the shoulder months, in the spring, in the late spring and early fall, and so we can time it. We can do every bit of our work in one season. All we're doing is the big part of it drilling those holes, and then we change these wires out. So these guys will be doing it. So this is important to understand. And they could use this wire. They could come down with those same towers and probably get an increased amount. And they may end up doing that by the time we get through here, because we're making it look so bad. But you couldn't solve the problem of the N-1-1, because it's a contingency problem. Yeah, because now you get all that power on one tower. So if it goes down, not only does the old system go down, the new system goes down too. But we're completely on the other side of the river. We're completely away from everybody else. So if something blows up on ours, N-1-1, it's got plenty of places to go. So somebody asked me that up in Albany. I had to think about it for a while. Why the hell don't they do that? They might use the lightweight. But once they put up more towers, they don't want us to pay for the wire too, so they probably don't bother to do that. But they could do that. It would be better, except they can't meet the N-1-1. Yeah.
Can the system stand to have those wires out of service for a season? While you're putting the wires up?
Only, yeah, if it's not peak. And you have to pay when you're doing it, so you pay a fine, because you're increasing the load and everything else while you're doing it. Remember, we got 4 legs coming down, so the wire is going to go the other way. And because it's in the shoulder months, the actual use in that month will not be full capacity for all of it. They'll have extra capacity in the others. So you can
the load would shift to the other.
It'll shift to the others, right. And that's one of the main things we wanted to accomplish, was to make that completely even all the way across it. All 4 will be the same. We would match the impedance. We do that with those devices. We can adjust it exactly.
Have you presented this whole thing to PSC yet?
No. They haven't.
I would think the PSC would want to get you and the other people in with a presentation like this so they could judge the merits. Have they got the technical capability
To understand.
to understand?
They actually do have a couple engineers that could, but you know, they don't take responsibility. They ask the ISO to do it for them. The New York ISO has the real engineers, that's all they do, but they're really supposed to work for FERC, but they're in New York, so they're kind of, both ways.
And politics aside, you need some technical people to say, you're the best or you're not.
Right, exactly.
And then,
And the ISO is going to tell them that, and when the judge said he would come back and, we met with him the 23rd of October, he said, because LS Power said, hey, we're not going to spend a lot of money, we're not going to stick around and spend all this money unless you tell us that we won. We didn't. And then as soon as now the next area said that first, then LS Power chimed in, they said the same thing. We didn't say anything. There were 33 people in the room at the Public Service Commission and 27 of them were lawyers. There were 2 token engineers, I was one of them. And so then he says, okay, the judge says, I can't do that. I don't know enough. And the Public Service Commission doesn't know enough. But the guys who can tell me is New York ISO. So New York ISO was there. Henry Chu, I think he was the guy. So he says, Henry, can you tell us in a couple of weeks, the first everybody's got 1,000 megawatts, and then tell me which ones are going to be the least burden on the ratepayers. And Henry said, yes sir, I can do that, because we've already got all their input from the 1st of October. So that was supposed to happen in November. Didn't happen, but what we learned was that the judge now said to NextEra, okay, I will tell you, I will rank order you guys, and you can decide whether you want to stay or not. He didn't want to take responsibility, tell them they had to drop out, but he would tell them, you're out to the best, you're out to second best, you're third best. Now, I would like to see them follow through with that, but they've had so much backlash from you guys and stuff that the Public Service Commission is now running scared. And instead of trying to get it done quickly for the governor, like they said they were going to do originally, trying to creep around and try to make it as quick and easy as they could. Now they're saying, oh, we're going to take a year, we're going to take a year and a half, we're going to take 2 years, take a longer to take. Now, I think what they're trying to, I don't know, I have no idea. My idea is that maybe he's trying to make LS Power next year decide that they should go someplace else and go away. And he won't have to make a decision and take responsibility for it. But then we worry about what does the governor want to happen. And we thought when we started, the governor wanted to get it done quickly. And we're the quickest solution. The only way they can get it done quickly is with our project. Because they're going to have to fight all the way otherwise.
Yeah. We met with the Public Service Commission. They seemed pretty sharp. A couple of them on that panel.
Yep.
Pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And they just said that your proposal was incomplete, and so were the other three.
Right. Yeah,
threw the whole
we
thing
was.
out.
We all were. We had it seemed like the deficiency, the list deficiencies we turned in yesterday. And with all those deficiencies met, and I'll talk about that, the biggest challenge was by Central Hudson. You guys may have heard that they said, you can't use our lines, and you can't use ours, whatever. So that was, yeah, go ahead.
So, since the lady at the Public Service Commission, Gibson, said, oh, these new lines are exponentially worse in power loss, they're terrible, oh my gosh, the sky's falling.
She doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
And I think, because I think I asked that question.
I think it was you.
Yeah.
I got a little upset about that because she wasn't.
She was talking about some type of carbon fiber and not this.
Not this, no.
No.
But they've been really bad mouthing HVDC, which actually is very useful, as I mentioned. And the reason I think is because they don't want another TBI kind of project, which doesn't hook into the system. And also, they don't have much. The utilities hate the HVDC because they bypass all their systems, right?
That's not the question I'm asking. What she was talking about was, these lines run hotter, therefore they're wasting more power, therefore they're a bad idea, is what I got out of what she said.
Oh, no, these don't. AC in general does, yes. Yeah, AC runs
But
hot.
these high-tech
But these
AC
don't.
lines,
No,
she
no,
was
no.
saying
These-
were bad because they get
No.
hot
No, that's not
and they
true.
waste.
And she
And
was
then you
just,
said, that's an investment. Somebody said somebody from.
I said it was preposterous. You heard me mumbling and grousing. She was just revealing the extent to which she doesn't understand the industry. I'm going to repeat. She is revealing the extent to which the public service staff does not understand the electricity industry. Now, John can help us as we go forward together by finding out from CTC and 3M
Yeah, we're gonna put.
How many hundreds of miles of this cable are up on towers in the Midwest already?
Thousands of miles, yeah.
Yes, yes. But that lady, who otherwise gave some useful answers, betrayed the depths of her ignorance when she made that absurd statement.
She was embarrassing a couple of times, especially with the HVDC. She didn't really understand. Just real quick on HVDC. Edison wanted to use DC, right? Everybody knows the story between Edison, who was a trial and error guy, and Tesla, who was a brilliant engineer. And Tesla figured out, Tesla wanted to move power through the air. He was so advanced, if you know the story. And actually, Tesla worked for Edison for a while as a young engineer. In fact, Edison didn't like him because he was so smart he couldn't keep up with him. So he ended up working for Westinghouse, and of course they came up with the AC solution, which makes sense. Why? Because AC, because it's going up and down, like we were talking about, it's easy to put it one coil of wire next to another coil of wire, and it induces that energy across into the other one. If you just have less turns on this than you do on this one, then you step down or step up the voltage. So it's very easy to change voltage. In our houses, we have a dozen different voltages. You know, we have to go from high to low. So to build a system, AC, especially distribution level, is very, very practical. But DC doesn't have the losses. If it's done right, you have to use a lot of voltage though. But the equation is I squared R. I use the current. If the current is 1, these big 500,000 volt lines, they have 1 amp. 1 amp of power. They're just tilting it back this way, back that way. It's a huge amount of voltage behind it. So Edison couldn't do that. He couldn't use that high voltage. It wasn't available. He didn't have the equipment he could do it with. But in a way, he was right, because DC has beautiful, it doesn't have the losses. You can go 100 miles with DC, you lose 2-3%. You can't get anything out of the end of the AC line if you do it without 100. It has to be
Northern River Express.
well, yeah, that's one of our other projects. Is that what you're talking about?
I refuse.
Yeah. Northern River Express is a DC line. That goes from Rockland County, and it would completely kill the TDI project because it brings in twice as much power for about $1 billion. They can spend
And it would use the
4.6.
rate money inside New York State for the people jobs.
And everything's in
inside
New York State,
instead of
exactly.
exporting
Right.
products.
So the Public Service Commission has been ignoring us so far, and we haven't got the money to fight with them in more than one place at a time. But if we get this one done, we're going to go back and get the next one. In fact, I think the next one, we got some people really interested in Horace Greeley. So
I'm
we're
trying
going
to
to come
talk
back
to
to
the senators from New York State that they should get Obama to not give the approval to the TDI, because why do we want to send our money out of state?
TDI bothers me a lot, because I don't like the way they're playing. But I've heard they've got actually an agenda below the agenda that they're playing with. They're very smart guys. Blackstone's, they're the most successful hedge fund, and they really play. And they've got an advisor to the governor, by the way, who is free for the governor.
Okay. Whole future electric rates, but
Yeah, it's not easy. It's a big boys game we're in right here, and we're playing with better technology, better engineers, but not. We can't protect ourselves in some ways. I've been fighting all my life, guys. That's what I do. I did 3 tours of Vietnam. I've been in the ring 21 times. I never lost a fight in my weight class. This is 165. I did leave twice when I went down to 157. So the rest of my guys think I'm crazy, but I'm not afraid of them. We're gonna beat them one way or the other. This is the way we're going to go across the river. I was raised in the South, and I'm a nice guy, but I don't back up very much. Okay, so this reamer, this thing, you just drill a hole. This is much more expensive than laying the bottom of the river, but it makes a nice, smooth. We hope we got actually consistent rock. That's the best stuff. If it's broken up in gravel, if it's sediment 40 feet down, we may have to go deeper than 40 feet. But somebody also told me that the old water canal goes across almost the same place, and they're going to replace the canal. I mean, it won't happen in time. We can easily get in that canal.
You mean the water tunnel?
The water tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, that goes all the way from up here, Ashoka, down to New York City.
But I know that, but I think it crosses the river. One of them, I think the Catskill line or something crosses right at the ocean. Does somebody know about that?
But John, as we discussed, it's a timing issue.
Yes.
They want to make a changeover. The boundless solution not only takes the nightmare away from where we're sitting, and does all the other advantages that you pointed out, but it could be done literally in the next year's time as soon as we get through this regulatory thicket.
It could be done a lot quicker than it.
And the Roaston Crossing, if the New York City Department of Environmental Protection wanted to cooperate, would not be available in time for
Yeah.
Leeds Pass West to solve our problem with the FERC capacity zone rate height.
That's true.
So the
We gotta get it
capacity,
done quickly.
the capacity zone rate height is what potentially has the Public Service Commission's tail feathers on fire and motivates sweeping aside these bogus proposals. So it was an interesting idea. Jürgen Weckerle from the Sierra Club proposed that to you as an
He
option.
was the one who spoke to me about it. Yeah, it was just
But it's
fascinating. We
not
could
an-
save $80 million
It's
if we did that.
it's a brilliant opportunity if we could somehow have a robot pull the cable through the existing
Just to go.
water
Our
tank.
cable would be happy in the water. It's pretty,
Yeah,
it's
if we
built
could,
for water.
if we could pull it through robotically,
Yeah,
but we can't wait until it's decommissioned and then use it.
right. That's kind of what I figured.
Isn't there it's collapsing though, is it not?
We say it's collapsing, but actually it's leaking north of 30 million gallons a day. But if you de-water it, then it'll collapse because there's no water in to hold the hose open any longer.
Right, yeah.
So it's not collapsing now.
Okay, it's just leaking.
And at that volume, in that technology, we can't slip line it. The way you could slip line a sewer pipe or a water pipe, if we're talking about a pipe like that or a pipe like that. This pipe is, as big as this room, and we can't slip line it. So the collapse problem is the converse. That's what happens when you take the water out.
It's not quite as big as this room, but it's big. The guys that went down
Well,
there-
I was
They built
figuring
it,
it
they built it by hand. I remember looking at it years ago. I went down and saw the big valve base down in below Portland Park. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing, and then we're going to stay on the ground on the other side. Look at this side. Okay, next slide. Let's take a look at the. I think we've got something. Yeah, this is direct burial stuff. If we had DC, this is what we do because direct burial DC. You can put it anywhere. It goes in the water, it goes anywhere, and it doesn't even need anything around it because there's no heat. No heat, and the EMF is not a problem. It's really benign stuff. It's one of the great things about DC. It really is good stuff if you use it in the right places.
You can only put it along the thruway.
Yeah, right. That was the idea, but the real reason, I think I explained to people, the real reason that project got stopped, the Nari, I think it was the fact that each town that you went through, had a different legal agreement, and all the bonding that was done, you would have to undo all of those agreements, the whole length of the freeway, in order to put another enterprise through the same right of way. So that's what really killed it. There were some other problems, but this really would have actually worked. It wasn't a bad idea. It just engineering and law don't necessarily go together. Okay, this is. I want to show you this. This is those forest fields I was talking about. These lines would be in this 32-inch pipe, and these lines, this is a little bit bigger than I actually did. It's not too far off. We're going to fill it up with water. Fill up with oil, like the utilities that you use. And by the way, the numbers the utilities quote are not that far off if you do it the utility way, the old-fashioned way. You build a concrete duct, and then you put a pipe inside the duct, and you put oil in the pipe, and you pump oil through the pipe. And the pipe, in Long Island Sound, there are two big ones going across it. They're carrying all the heavy power in Long Island, Y-49 and Y-50. And they say, they're environmentally benign. They're pumping oil in both ends. Oh my God, leaking. It's just disappearing. But we're going to put water in the damn thing, and that's a new way of doing this. One of our own techniques, a new technique again, that we came up with. We're going to put water in there. And if the water leaks out, okay, put some more water in there. It would take a while to really create a problem, but because it's pulsating, some energy is being converted to heat, and that does heat up and work out cool. Okay, next slide.
Distilled water.
What?
Distilled water, so it has no conductivity.
Yeah. And we fill it with the steel. But, you know, it wouldn't make that much difference, it does make a little bit of, yeah.
Well, you got two problems.
If you got salt and stuff in there, you can get some corrosion
contamination, which gets corrosion, and you also have the ability to
over time.
marking.
But remember, those things got rubber on the outside, so.
I know, but
But-
everything has holes.
You're right. Okay, this is what I was talking about, and this is a logarithmic scale, so this is like 10 times. If you put these AC lines together, normally, like they are up in the air, like this, you have an EMF that goes up like this, up to 110, this is close to it. This is a meter, so 1 meter away, 2 meter away, 3 meter, 4, 5 meter away. 5 meters is, 15, 20 feet, so a little over 15 feet. So here you would have still 10 that's milligauss, I guess, microgauss. You do the trefoil way, which is what we're going to do, it drops the whole thing down to the very highest point. You're right on top of it within a meter, you get a little bit over 10, which is the lowest point on the area. So it really does do a huge amount of good to take the extra effort to put this in. You can see how they're put together and then it'll be a pipeline. Okay. These are guys that will build it normally. LS cable, Prismium, this is the only water part. Next is ABB. ABB is a guy we work with mostly. Siemens works with Prismium, which is an Italian company. It's Pirelli. The guys that do your tires, they also make cables. And these are about the only guys in the world that do this. To make the big cable for the DC lines, you have to be located close to an ocean because you have to be able to take that wire right, you have to hang it. And it won't bend that much. It has to come off this tower onto the ship where it's around in a very large circle. And there's special ships that can do this. There's only a couple, 3 of them in the world. You've got to think ahead and you have to actually contract for them. We don't have to worry about that because all we're doing is drill underneath, and we're going to use underwater. So we'll be able to do that without too much trouble. It's only a mile, too. LS cable is actually, and this is not LS Power, by the way. It's confused me for a long time. LS cable is a different outfit. They're actually, I think they're Korean, and they are cheaper. And we've looked at using them to price, and we talked to them about the West Coast. We have a job trying to do a project on the West Coast to connect from Canada to the United States out on the Olympic Peninsula, and they may end up doing it for us. But normally we use ABB. They're a little more expensive, but they've got really good engineers. They pioneered this stuff in the North Sea. Really tough conditions, and they really do a great job. They're very careful. Siemens is almost as good as they are at the underwater stuff, but not quite. They still have an edge because they've got patents that Siemens hasn't been able to break in. So this is a big cable. Okay, we got some flowers for you. The next see we got left. Okay, we gave you a reference so you can get to these other websites. And you take a look at the website for yourself, and you can satisfy. We tried very hard to give you a lot of information, real solid information. Because the more you know, the better off we are. And that's what I told somebody. Oh, I told Craig Wolf. Craig Wolf, the reporter. I talked to him tonight. He couldn't come tonight. He had some hospital he was trying to write a story about, some building hospital. But he wants to talk another time. And he was telling me that they have had some questions about these other websites. And I said, well, when you're doing something people don't like, you don't want to explain what you're doing too well. And when you're doing something people are going to be happy with, you try to make it as clear as you can. So that's what we've done. And so you can go to their websites and find out. Now, we're also going to put some links that go to CTS, the other cable maker who we replace those overhead wires with. And you can find out more about their company. 3M is the other one, and they're very good too. Because truly, like I say, very, very likely to get one or the other to do the overhead lines. The underwater stuff will be done by some of these guys we just looked at. And then we'll get somebody overall to guarantee everything. And then I'm going to be watching them as a construction manager. But we'll meet like once a week probably with the guys doing the work. I'll probably be out in the field and start actually doing this. It can be done in one season, but the whole company will meet once a month to review everything, see if we're on budget and on time, and we have a schedule for doing that. So we control it pretty well. The only the problem with the utilities, which could be our partners, we keep saying we've got really good ideas and we've got really good grip on the latest technologies. If they're weak in those areas, which they haven't bothered, why don't they just partner with us? And so we try to talk to them before, didn't have much of that. They may decide, if they get enough resistance, if they need to start talking. And then the question would be, will Ellis Power go away? Will they stay? Will next year stay or go away? I think the judge would like them to go away. I think maybe they would like to give it to the Transco, but the Transco project is 2 or 3 times more expensive. I just don't see how they can do the work. So, if we get to FERC, and once we get this Article 7, which we could get, if the Public Service Commission would be honest about this, and the lower level it should, we'd be done in 6 months. And they said originally April, May. And we can be done by April, May, because we don't, so far we've had no dissenters whatsoever. Only interviews we've had are people that speak in favor of it.
That was the last slide.
Oh, good. That's it. You can turn it off. So, but the other guys are not going. That's not going to be true. And I don't know how roughshod they can go over people's desires. I just can't see how they can possibly ignore. And we want to get the people on the west side, which is very important, on our side as well, and understand what we're doing. Because we're not hurting them, and we can't help with other projects that want to get into it. So, my hope is that this thing will come out the way it should, and the governor will, if he wants to run, God help him, against Hillary, this is the only project he's going to get done between now and then he can talk about it. It might be, some of them might be in progress or in the middle of a fight or something, but I know the second floor, as we say, got very upset when 2 weeks ago, when everybody started getting active. I think about 2 weeks ago, because we got calls from the Public Service Commission. Before they would tell us, they told us to go out and talk to people, and they told us not to go out and talk to people. And they say, don't talk to anybody unless we're there. And they want to get control of everything, So we try to be very nice to Public Service Commission. I know they got a hard job to do, and the staff is a little different from the commissioners too. They're not necessarily that. The new head of the PSC, Audrey Zebelman, pretty sharp lady, and I got to meet her. I haven't really had a chance to talk to her. I'm hoping that if she understands what I just explained here, I had an hour with her. I hope that I could, because she ran a business herself, and I'm really kind of glad to see her there. She might have the guts to go ahead and let this thing go the way it should go, rather than they kind of feeling their way down, and trying to slow everything down. They figure out what they're doing, I think. We need to come back strong in January. To do that, we got to collect some more bucks somewhere so we can continue to fight the fight. We've gotten through the A part. We've done all the real conceptual work. We've got to do the detail work next. There's a lot of environmental work that still has to be done. Even though we're not doing anything, we're still going through that territory. The rules say you've got to consider all the birds and the bees and everything that's in there. So that's going to cost money. And we've got, but if we get that Article 7, which is the stamp approval for the site and the environmental work from the state of New York, the first one it gets there, it's going to go to FERC. It used to be PSC could give a tariff, and they still theoretically can, but FERC has kind of frowned on that. FERC gives better tariffs anyway. They have higher tariffs. Better off. FERC's really trying to get transmission built all over the country, because we need a national grid, folks, that we don't have. We grew like Mopsy, and we've got the most screwed up system. I mean, for a big country, we have a Special Forces A-team that I've been on. It was technically competent, the way the engineers that worked with me are. It's spread out across this country. I've got a bunch of chains and aluminum balloons, and no weapons whatsoever. There's thousands of miles of bare ass naked wire up there that has nothing on it. I mean, all you got to do is drop a chain across it, let a balloon cut across it, boom! You just knocked out that line, and you could take out the whole country is wired into 2 systems. alternating current is a very unstable thing anyway, because you got to get everything in step with itself. It's got to be 120 cycles per second, the same 120 as the other guy. So we got an eastern interconnect, and it went as far as they could go to Nebraska. They couldn't make it work any further. They turned to the western interconnect. So you got the western interconnect and everything else up into Canada. It's big as hell too. Either one of those gets something really wrong with it, and everything in an AC system tries to go to that point, and it gets to be a galloping gurney, it blows, and you get a blackout. Now, DC doesn't do that. If something happens on a DC line, it just fades away. No problem. That's why we believe, and this is what really got me and John Tompkins together back 10 years ago. John's the genius that could help me do it. The country should, there's one other interconnect, and that is the state of Texas. They seceded from the rest of the Union. You can't get into Texas except with HVDC, because you can take an HVDC line, hook it up to any two AC lines, doesn't make any difference, because you create your own AC on the other end. So Texas will not go down. They never have a blackout. If you had 17 Texas-sized units, interconnects, and hook them up with HVDC, you now have like a ship. It's compartmentalized. Now you've got a real national system. You can't break this thing now. I mean, a hurricane, even terrorists, you've got to work themselves to death. You've got to run around all these different places, blow everything into one. When you have to black start the grid, black start means your big thermal plants, if something happens and they go down, they can't just crank back up. They need electricity to make them go, the system's going. So they have to have something somewhere. If the whole system's down, there's nobody to start anything. And it takes a while to warm them up and everything, get going. It takes a day or two. And the nuclear plants are even worse. They get shut down. It takes weeks to get everything back. So if somebody knew what they were doing, and if 911, if those guys really knew what the hell they were doing, they had engineers doing it, maybe we've been in trouble. The blowing up a building is nothing compared to knocking down the whole national grid in both sides. So what I would like to do is see, and both Democrats and Republicans everybody I've talked to in Congress, I've had a chance to talk to them, I don't think it's a great idea. When are you going to get it done? I want to use the military to have secure energy nodes. That's where I came from. I want to have each base inside of each one of these 17 groupings. I want to have a military base somewhere, which has already got physical security for free. Now let me do solar and wind and geothermal, whatever you've got, tie it all together in one system. I want a system that's 400 or 500 megawatts that I can make money on, selling back into the grid like a power plant. But I give security to the military base. I can black start the grid because I've got renewable power. And I use whatever legacy systems you've got, and I tie them all together and put cybersecurity on top of it, because once you create one of these things, you want to make damn sure the bad guys can't get into it. So my idea was to have military microgrids, we call them mini-grids because they're municipal-sized microgrids, on key bases all over the country, and then have them all connected with HVDC. And John Tompkins is the guy that can help me get this done. But we got to get this thing, New York, we got 4 good projects to do. If we get one of them, we'll do the next one. If we get the next one done, then I'm going to start working back on the military, start talking to Congress again, see if we can, I've got senators I went to school with, I've been very lucky, and I think I could convince them. But we got the truth, and the truth always helps be on your side, yeah.
Okay, so, got a couple of questions.
Sure.
Okay, first one is just kind of like an aside. You've obviously been talking to a lot of people since this whole thing came up, including the other companies, right?
A little bit to me, yeah.
Did you get the feeling that they did perhaps not expect all this opposition?
They insisted to use the money in the lawyers to get it. I think they still think they can remedy it. I didn't talk about Central Hudson. We have a very good reply to Central Hudson, which is, I gave somebody a copy of it. I don't know if you can.
I found it on the internet. There was like a 20-page thing from December 6th, and then just from yesterday, there's a terse little 2-pager. They got copies of both.
Okay. That's I hope that will work. Sure. Okay.
We're going to get the Clinton Town Board to pass a resolution for boundless, since we got Ray on board, and we got Claudia Cooley and Mike Apolloni. Maybe in the next month or two, the town of Clinton could be the first town board to support boundless, maybe, possibly.
The thing to understand, Joel, by the way, as I said before, I'm not compensated. I'm here representing our Mid-Hudson community interests. And what we need is an alliance between the activist communities on this side of the river, where you property owners actually feel physically threatened, and the communities on the other side of the river that will actually benefit from having the weak, neglected Central Hudson facility restored by Boundless. Then we all come out ahead. But two other things. If we don't organize this in time, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission is going to impose the electricity rate hike on us. And we're going to end up paying as ratepayers for the transmission owner's facility that we're going to
project, yeah.
So what we really need, I would represent, is a Mid-Hudson alliance of municipalities and counties who all come together and understand these things as a group of electricity customers, most of whom, not all, most of whom are served by Central Hudson Gas and Electric, some of whom are served by NYSEG and by Grid. So that's why I keep coming to these meetings, because I want to see these improvements occur and remove the threat, not only of your properties being ruined here, but of our missing the opportunity to get the upgrades, the grid stability, the reliability, and the opportunity to put more renewable power into the AC transmission system. That's why I'm here. And I welcome the opportunity for us to get our communities on the other side and the County of Ulster working together with the counties of Columbia County, Dutchess County, and Putnam County, and so forth. So, thank you.
Yes.
I got one is, when you're digging